Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Lau and I am the composer of the required contemporary work of the St. Paul String Quartet competition for 2023. I am absolutely delighted to have this piece worked on by all of you, and it's kind of surreal actually to have the opportunity to hear so many renditions of this particular piece, and I want to just extend my gratitude to all of you for all of the hard work that you put into creating this piece. I just wanted to say a few words about the piece itself in case they may help in the sort of like final stretch of your journey with this piece. And I'm not going to get into too much technical or interpretive detail, only because I find that one of the pleasures of bringing a new piece to life is really the license to explore the piece and to find your own interpretive framework that will guide you to a vision of the piece that feels right for you. I don't believe that there is one way of playing this piece. As long as what you're doing feels good for your ensemble and feels like you're communicating something, that just makes my heart soar. I just love hearing different versions of this. I will tell you just a little bit of context. So this piece was written in 2014 and performed for the first time in 2015, which was a long time ago now. But actually, the tune in the second movement, which is this kind of like quasi-Baroque G minor jig, bum 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 da 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 da. That little tune I actually wrote in 2007, and I had been kind of wrestling with it for a long time and trying to find a home for it. When I first came up with that tune, I honestly can't remember what I was doing and how I came up with it, but I remember calling that little motive "Winds of Change," cheesy as though it might be, but I felt like I was going through a period of change at that time, and there was something in that music that spoke to me of movement and momentum and a certain kind of push towards something new. Despite the fact that the language has this kind of Baroque quality to it. And so when the opportunity to write the string quartet came along, I decided to repurpose this tune and kind of build a structure around it. So in effect, the second movement of this piece really came first. And when I wrote the second movement, I really kind of leaned into the Baroque angle a little bit so that it becomes almost this kind of semi-serious but also semi-playful and joyful exploration of Baroque music in a contemporary context. And this is perhaps made most evident by the middle section of that movement, where you hear both my original theme, bum 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 da 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 da, and also this sort of like minuet in G major motif, dun da 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 dum bum bum. Kind of dueling it out in a context that is almost non-classical in nature, and seems to reference something beyond the classical tradition. What that is, I will kind of leave in your imagination. Which brings us to the first movement, which was originally written as a kind of prelude to support the second movement. I almost thought of it as an introduction and then Winds of Change. But the prelude took on a life of its own, and I just had I remember just having so much fun writing this movement. And, part of it was that when I was at the University of Toronto, I graduated in 2012, about 2 years before I wrote this piece. I had written 2 string quartets during my time there, and although they were pieces that I stand behind, they were also very dark and very angsty, and there was something about leaving school and finding my own path that perhaps imbued my voice at this stage in my career with kind of a sense of joy and a sense of exhilaration. And as I wrote this movement, I discovered, at least in part, what the piece was about, which was a sort of playful exploration of incompatible traditions made compatible through a sense of flow. And so just to give you an example, this piece opens with this kind of, again, quasi-Baroque, maybe even a little bit Renaissance, but with a sort of on-meter lilt that then very improbably at certain points kind of transitions into this more heavy metal type music. And, Baroque and heavy metal tend to not go together very well on paper, but I wanted to make a case not only to have these styles coexist in a manner that felt natural, but also to have them flow into one another in a way that felt inevitable. And that is really what I like to go for in my music, finding inevitability and connection between things that on paper look a little bit like they weren't to go together. And so I've titled this movement Gliding, and I invite you all to develop a narrative or some kind of imagery to help you find a path through that piece. I wanted to thank you so much for all of your hard work on this piece again, and I can't wait to hear you explore these works and to experience that with you. So thank you so much, and good luck to everyone. Take care.